Alright guys, welcome back to Tipsy Tube. We're gonna do something a little bit different today. We're doing Tipsy Tube reviews. I'm DahChuggity, and today I'll be reviewing Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. We thought we'd give you a little honest review about how it played out. Half of it will be spoiler free. We're not gonna try to spoil anything for you. However, I will warn you, the last half will be spoiler heavy. So if you haven't seen BVS Dawn of Justice, maybe hold off. Oh, unless you're weird and you just want to know what happens. So today we're drinking just a little bit of whiskey. Let's get to going. I like to start out with saying this. Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice, I have determined that I do agree with the majority of reviews. I do agree with the fact that it was cut too much. That being said, I enjoyed it. I believe that too much was cut out, and I hope that the rated R uncut version has a little bit more room to play with cinematically. I hope that there's a little bit more with the rated R version and the uncut version. This movie is kind of like three movies combined. We saw a Batman movie, we saw a Superman movie, and we saw a Dawn of Justice League movie, and I believe those could be separate. And I think that separating those movies out over the course of a few months or a few years even would have done the audience a little bit more than this movie did. That being said, a beautiful movie. So good. Zack Snyder can make a beautiful movie. We know that. But there was too many cuts. There was too many cuts for the story, but me as a fan, me as someone that's read the comics, I know that this movie played true to a lot of the comic stories. DC has been very faithful with making comic stories come to life. If you've seen the animated DC universe, you know that. If you've seen Man of Steel, you know that was touching on a lot of darker sides of Superman, and we saw a really dark Batman. Moving on to each character as they were, Ben Affleck, Bruce Wayne, Batman was amazing. Ben Affleck was amazing as Bruce Wayne. Some of the things that take the cake for this movie are Batman moments. Batman rushes into the Wayne Enterprises building in Metropolis as it crashes down on the people that work for him, the people that he knows. He let his family die. If you've seen the movie or if you've even seen the trailers, "You let your family die" is such a big quote for Batman. And it really drives it home in the opening scene of this movie. What I didn't need to see for Bruce Wayne was his parents dying for a goddamn 10th time in the alley. I know. The pearls go flying, the blood spills, and Bruce is left there in shatters. I know this one. I get it. And I'd like to think that all the cinema goers pick up what Batman's putting down, you know what I mean? By the way, all of this will contain spoilers. From here on out, it's spoiler city, alright? I warned you. It's up to you to make that click off. If you're here now and you haven't seen the movie, understand that it is worth a watch. Understand, as a comic book fan, I am going to see it again. By the way, go watch our other videos. Now, I don't need to see Martha and Thomas Wayne dying again. I've seen it before. I'm sure we'll see it again. That being said, Maggie and Negan from The Walking Dead did a dope job. But I was scared for half a second when the dream sequence with the bats and he's flying up. I was like, no, it's gonna be a Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern again. It wasn't. I will say that. I wish, instead of seeing the Waynes being killed in the alley, I wish we saw a little bit of a flashback to Batman's career in this universe. Seeing maybe the death of Robin, or something alluding to the death of Robin and who killed him, which I'm assuming is the Joker, Jared Leto. I would have loved to have seen a little bit of that in reference to the Bats character that we saw. Moving to Superman, there was practically a whole Superman movie in this, just as there was a Batman movie, that they cut into it. One thing that I found great with Superman is that we saw what is akin to the New 52 Superman, a Superman that hasn't been around forever, that is struggling with his own humanity. I like that Superman, the Superman that didn't make the best decisions, because honestly, let's face it, Superman versus anything loses until you give Superman a little bit of humanity and you give him the opportunity to make an error. That's why it works. The Jonathan Kent scene in the mountains, didn't get it. And Jonathan Kent may be just kind of a vision maybe left over from the Kryptonian ship and whatever interface it had with Kal-El, Superman, but I didn't really get it. I really enjoyed the interplay between Bruce and between Clark when they both realized that Clark's mother was Martha and he had to save her. That was dope. That was super dope. And that's what turned the movie. The point in which Bats stops going after Superman is when he stops seeing him as an alien infiltrating the planet. He sees him as a man, as a boy with a mom named Martha. And that, under my understanding, they've never really picked up on the Martha Kent, Martha Wayne thing. If they have, let me know in the comments or I'll note it up here. At this point, we're in the spoilers. Superman dies. Superman came in as Superman, wrestling with his humanity and just trying to give it his all and just trying to do well. And then he died doing well. Like, he died as Superman. I'm sure he's not dead. If any of you have read the comics, you know Death of Superman. He's not dead. He's in like a Krypton coma. You know what I mean? His body's just... And you saw at the very end of the movie, the little dirt particles coming up off of the coffin. Like, you know he's back. Like, Superman can't die in that way. So I'm sure we'll see him in the Justice League movie. I mean, or that would be franchise suicide. Now, moving on from Kal-El, Clark Kent, Superman, we're going to Diana Prince, Wonder Woman. Gal Gadot's Diana Prince was amazing. The diplomat, the playgirl lifestyle, great. Diana Prince, great. Her fight scenes were a little rough. I will say, it looks like Wonder Woman came onto set for Batman vs. Superman. Gal Gadot came onto set for Batman vs. Superman, and she did two moves. This, and she did this. And I feel like they just motion blurred between the two for the entire fight. Like, it was just motion blur graphics, and that was the whole fight for Wonder Woman. I love her character. I know they can do something more with it, but that was a little rough. It felt like Transformers. The audience member just had to understand that they were fighting, and it was just a motion blur for the whole damn fight. Moving on to Lex. Alexander Luthor. This isn't the Lex that we've seen for a while, but it was the mad scientist, crazy ass Lex that we've seen in DC Comics. Now, I think we're going to see a transition of Lex out of jail, Lex being just mentally infiltrated by the Batman at the end of the movie. We're going to see that go into the cold, calculating, surgically accurate Lex Luthor that we might have seen in other things like Justice League Unlimited in the comic books. I think we're going to see that metamorphosis, and I'm excited to see what Jesse Eisenberg can bring to the table. He really tried on every scene he did. In some scenes it was great, and in some scenes it was kind of cringy. I'm really excited for what's to come with Bald Lex. I mean, to be honest, we didn't see Bald Lex until the end, and we know that he's changing as a character, and that he is visibly scarred from the Batman, really putting it down on him, letting him know that they are watching him. I'm excited to see what comes of that Lex, of where he's pushed to, and to see what the consequences are in that universe of Lex Luthor being that just backed up into a corner. Doomsday, I enjoyed too. Doomsday was a kind of a Hulk, kind of a Lord of the Rings troll, rock troll kind of thing. Visibly, he looked kind of weird, but when he started sprouting the bones, it looked dope. The whole absorbing energy and then releasing energy in a big cloud, that was a little much for me. In my opinion, Doomsday was just for Superman to feel and to understand the consequence of death. At the very end of the movie, we know he dies. We know he dies by Doomsday arm spike while he's giving him the fucking kryptonite spear. Very messianic of him. And he dies because he's too close to the kryptonite and he gets stabbed. Like, okay, I get it. We know he's alive. Superman can't be dead. If he's dead, they lose their franchise. So I'm hoping that Doomsday is just the perfect vehicle to get a reckless Superman, a reckless team of heroes, and to turn them into the Justice League. This movie was a trailer. It was cut like a trailer. Boom, 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 boom. Cliffhanger. It was a trailer. They showed Aquaman, they showed Cyborg, they showed The Flash. What do you want? It was a trailer for the next movie. I want this movie to serve as a catalyst where we can see maybe a little bit softer Batman. And I like a hard bats, but a little bit softer Batman. So we can see him fighting for justice. We can see him fighting for the people. We can see Superman know that there's a consequence of death, and have him just calculate and strategize more like the Superman we know from the comics. We can see Diana with her years of leadership and her years of combat experience be the driving force of the aggressive side of the Justice League. I want to see Barry Allen, Ezra Miller Barry Allen. I want to see that happen. I was very hyped when they opened the Flash folder. Super dope. I want to see Vic Stone as Cyborg. I think Vic Stone as Cyborg is going to be the most compelling cinematic hero since Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man, because they have the opportunity to do that. Aquaman was a little awkward on screen. He's just Khal Drogo under the sea. I think he's a Little Mermaid Khal Drogo. His scene was a little awkward. He just had the trident just standing there like, what's up guys? I got a trident. To talk about the last part, if you've seen the trailers, all the trailers, you pretty much have seen the entire movie. However, there's one thing you haven't seen. There's a couple things you haven't seen. The biggest thing is Ezra Miller's The Flash. The nightmare sequence where Batman is opposing a very totalitarian, very dictator style Superman. At the end of that nightmare sequence, at the end of that dream sequence, they immediately add The Flash, which I'm assuming is Barry Allen. As we all know, Ezra Miller plays Barry Allen in The Flash, coming back from the future to the past, saying, it was Lois Lane, it was Lois Lane, it was Lois Lane. Which we learned from the nightmare sequence. Something happened. This is probably going to go into an Injustice style story arc where Lois Lane dies and Superman just can't cope and goes ape shit. It's also leading to a very Flashpoint paradox. Now, keep in mind, we've seen a couple notable actors play the Waynes. For my money, I don't think we're done with seeing them play the Waynes. For my money, a Flashpoint paradox, we may see Batfleck running into his father, Thomas Wayne, as the Batman a la Flashpoint paradox. Because if you remember Flashpoint paradox, Thomas Wayne became the Bat. Martha and Bruce were killed in the alley. Thomas Wayne became the brutal Bat, involving guns, and he didn't care who died. And I know we've seen a parallel with Batfleck. With Batfleck, I mean, he straight up killed a dozen people minimum. He flipped the car onto the guys. He used the other guy to pull the trigger to shoot the gun to the other guy. He shot the guy with the flamethrower with the other guy's gun. So he didn't actually pull the trigger, but I'm sure he's smart enough to understand that forcing a guy to shoot another guy, you're still shooting a guy. If you can go to this movie expecting a setup to the next, I think you'll be satisfied with it if you're a comic book fan. If you're not a comic book fan and going to watch this movie, I think you might be a little bit confused. Now, for my money, Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice is the best Batman you've ever seen. Wonder Woman is super dope. All the Easter eggs were great. At the end of the day, it's setting up a DC cinematic universe that can be great. Now, I'm DahChuggity, and this has been an extremely tipsy review of Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel, like our videos, and also check us out on twitch.tv/tipsytube. Please check us out on Instagram, tipsytube. Check us out on Twitter, @tipsytube. And as always, be on the lookout for YouTube videos here on TipsyTube Gaming.
Check us out on Beam, TipsyTube.
And check us out over there. My name's DahChuggity. We're TipsyTube Gaming. Let us know if you want to see more reviews like this in the future. Let us know what games you want us to play next. I'm DahChuggity, and let's get to going.
Ugh.